men's intimate wear market, there are so many brands which are spending so much on TV spots and having brand ambassadors the top of the Bollywood. So obviously they are spending a lot. Why in this category there's so much spending on TV spots vis-a-vis almost no spending by the other apparel categories? Why only intimate wear in men?
I think they are doing a lot to cater to the mass, and they want the celebrities to also cater to the niche market with the same product, but they are not able to do that right now. So the need gap is they need to change the designs and the patterns along with the celebrities they endorse.
Okay, Arpan, thank you very much for your presentation. Thank you, sir. Okay, just to break it up, we don't want all PowerPoint. We're going to have the next student who's going to be here for about 3-4 minutes, and we're just going to interview her in person. The next student with the most practical project is Shruti Jain in Synthesis 2012 from the undergraduate program in Fashion Business Management. Can we have a call on this mic, please? Shruti, welcome to Synthesis 2012. Okay. Shruti had an excellent project which was around green apparel in manufacturing. Shruti, come closer. So please define for us what is green manufacturing, what is green apparel?
Well, green refers to all fashion products which are created in such a way that to create a more healthier and equal world.
Great. Please give us some examples of how would a company be green?
That's a very good question, Mihir. Most important. There are many that was in fact my first research objective. What are the attributes that make a product green? To be called green, it's a micro concept, and there 9 attributes were listed. For example, if your product is made from a recyclable or reusable material, it can be green. If you donate a part of your sales into some restoration of restoration of wildlife corridors, tree plantation, or any other such initiative, then also the product becomes green. If you use organic material, then also the product is green. So for that, the entire research is done.
Okay,
you can
so
have a look.
Okay, a little bit of an earthquake, but we're fine. We're back. Okay, so Shruti defined different ways an organization can be green. Now, very interestingly, Shruti, you also had different shades of green. So an organization could be dark green, or light green, or pale green, right?
Well, I would quote from David Suzuki. If we really want to move towards a low polluting and sustainable society, we need to make the consumers think of their purchases. And for that, it was necessary to understand whether this concept is acceptable by the Indian consumers or not. So, going forward, after when I was doing the survey, 3 categories of Indian consumers were segregated: dark green, light green, and pale green. Dark green were those who are more affluent, they are aware about the issues, they are aware about such concepts, and are ready to accept it. Light green are those who are aware, but they still don't buy it. So my focus, they are actually the potential customers. So, and pale greens were those who were least interested in the concept.
And what was the customer difference? What were the characteristics between a dark green and a light green customer?
Dark green consumers were found to be more older, more affluent, and more aware compared to the light green ones. The light green they were aware, but the price was the main issue for them. They always compared the prices before going forward.
So basically what Shruti is saying is, if you are a light green consumer and you see a shirt that's about 200 rupees, and if it's 250, you may not buy it. But if you're dark green, please.
But if the same price is 220 and you are a light green consumer, you won't mind spending it for a noble cause.
And if you are a dark green consumer, you will still buy it, but you will look for
the design.
Great. Shruti, you went through this process. You went through this research for many months. How do you feel you came out of it as a more learned person or a better professional going into the industry?
Well, I would say the seed of sustainability of going green was planted when I came into Pearl. And going forward, as a person, I feel that we all would agree that apparel and textile industry is considered to be the most ecological harmful industries. And if each of us could contribute in some way, I think we can make a difference.
Shruti, excellent words. Remember, Shruti has a very large presentation. There is actually a sheet in each of your packets that lists out these 14 speakers on stage. If you are interested in their topic, what you need to do is just tick against their name, write down your name and email address, and then we will be able to email the entire presentation to you. Here's an example of an undergraduate student who has taken on the double bottom line, make profits, but serve the environment too. A big round of applause for Shruti Jain.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shruti, for joining us on stage.
Thank you, Mihir.
Okay, so we move on now to our third presenter, who is also the award-winning presenter in our next department. We actually have on stage Anusha Jain, who's from the Fashion Retail Management Department, and she had a very interesting topic. She's going to tell us in 5 minutes the effect of persona on a small and medium enterprise. How does the personality of the leader impact the success of a small and medium enterprise? Presenting to you Anusha Jain.
Hello. Again, hello everyone. Over the months, as I've been working in an SME organization, what I observed was an entrepreneur in an SME organization initially has a very positive influence of his persona on the employees. But as his business grows, he is dominated by his persona. Absence of processes. He's bothered even with the tiniest of the task. So, to start with my presentation, the title of my project was From Persona-Driven to Process-Driven, SMEs Change for Better Initiative. And the core findings of my project was identification and documentation of business processes is imperative to an SME's success and profoundly impacted by the persona of its leader. The journey of my research followed a roadmap, starting with identifying of a problem in retail SMEs, followed by the literature and the past researches that showed that a lot of factors are affecting the growth of retail SMEs, like strategic influences, manager-owner characteristics, business characteristics, and a lot more factors. Coming down to the methodology of the research, retail SMEs and MNC CEO and managers were studied to explore the key behaviors and existing structural patterns in retail industries in India. In-depth questionnaire was one of the major tools that was used to examine the leadership style, management style, work culture, and structure of an organization. It was very well supported with the psychometric test evaluation, which was used to reveal the management style of the managers in retail SMEs. One of the very interesting things that happened in my research were the outcome of the activities that I performed. My activities got a global credibility. Starting with the first activity, which is the LinkedIn discussion, it talked about transformation of an organization from persona to process. Professionals not only in India, but worldwide accepted this concept. Similarly, I had a Facebook group which talked about the similar issue. Professionals specifically in India shared their problems related to management in their organization. Coming to the most important aspect of research, that are the findings of the research, which revealed that there is an evidential impact of a persona of a leader on its organization. We can see 8 personas over here. Let's zoom in to one of the persona. You can see the left-hand side talks about the breakup of activities of a CEO in a day. That is the time spent on his meetings, his personal leisure, phone calls, and so on. Going down to the model, we can see the breakup of phone calls. That is the number of buyer calls, number of personal calls, number of direct report calls. The right-hand side talks about the attributes of the CEO, his leadership and management style. Finally, identification of the change need in SMEs and data collection, which revealed management and cultural issues. It led to development of a model style of leadership for holistic growth and synergistic growth. The model looks a bit complicated and complex, so we'll just focus on some of the critical factors that were time management, the structure of the organization, that is to achieve a balance between formal and informal organization. Also, the effective use of functional systems in an organization. It is not just that you implement a software like ERP, but you should also know how to adapt it, and you should also know the importance of such softwares. This model was very well supported by another model, the model of order of alignment, which defines the sequence of steps in which the change process should be held. Starting with the most important, that is transparency of information in an organization, effective delegation, time management, and leadership. Last but not the least, the research highlighted devising of methods and practices, aligning a business strategy, also outlining some of the critical factors like development of a process-centric environment for consumer-to-concept approach, creation of a free space for organizational head for better business generation. I'm sure this research will be useful for a lot of CEOs and managers in retail SMEs. Thank you and have a very good evening. Thank you.
Anusha, very interesting qualitative and quantitative assessment of how do you attribute success factors for leaders. Let me ask you, as you are going to be a leader in the community, which is obvious by your presentation, being one of the top one in your department, what would you say for you will be the #1 criteria of leadership?
Here, the most important thing that came out of my project was that there should be a balance achieved between emotions and processes. So definitely, firstly, I'll work on that, followed by overcoming a lot of loopholes that came out of the SMEs, work culture and systems.
Great.
So this will be my key strategy.
The balance.
Yeah, the balance
two
between.
things in there.
Yes,
Great.
definitely.
Any questions from the audience? Any one question? Yes, please. Please state your name and please provide the question.
You're Shruti, right?
Anusha.
Sorry, Anisha, I'm
Yes,
sorry.
yes.
I'm Ramon Lamba, and very impressed with the whole presentation and the
Thank you,
research.
ma'am. Thank you.
But what I want to understand is, in an organization, you identify the qualities of the leader, that's the head of the organization.
Yes.
But eventually in the real world, what happens is these traits, when they come down to the last set of people who really, really perform, and the success of the organization eventually depends on their performance, this whole thing is lost somewhere. So in your research, what would you say that, what would that one thing be that would take on the whole thing? So, what are you getting my question?
Yes, ma'am, definitely. That is what I'm trying to say in my research also, that the persona of the leader should be so strong that it should have a very, very big impact on the employees as well. Whatever he is doing, he should not do it alone. There should be a sense of delegation, which is actually missing in retail SMEs in India. So once he starts delegating, once the employees start assuming responsibility, it will automatically come.
And you're positive that it will sink into the last set of people who
Yes,
eventually perform?
definitely. It goes on from one hierarchy to another hierarchy.
Okay, great.
So I think what she found was that within small and medium enterprises, there is a greater impact. And what she calls persona is not the personality, but it's an umbrella term for like the leadership and charisma of a leader, which seeps more in a small enterprise than in a larger one.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Anusha, once again, round of applause for an award-winning presentation, Anusha Jain. Okay, so we heard a little earlier from, actually, by the way, Arpan, can I reveal your nickname? Arpan, the intimate wear man, was called the Kacha King, okay, in his college. And the next presentation kind of relates to this, because it talks about a distribution model where if Arpan's company is successful, how would consumers purchase it? We have a very intelligent, smart, articulate student coming up. Now, this student actually had a 95% in his 12th. He decided not to go to NIF Delhi. He decided not to go to SRCC. And he came to the Pearl Academy of Fashion. because of its retail program here. Let's invite on stage, please, Mr. Utkarsh Ahuja, BA Honors in Fashion Retailing. Let me find your slide so that we can put it right on stage while you speak. Here it is. Utkarsh's topic today is fashion and beauty vending machines. Okay? A contradiction by itself. Fashion vending machine. Utkarsh, tell us first, vending machines, about your interest in them.
Well, I'm actually fascinated with vending machines since childhood. You know, I went to Japan when I was 12, and in Japan you have 23 vending machines per person. So through my travels internationally, I've always been fascinated with the concept of vending machines.
23 per person. And what are the advantages of, we don't see a lot of vending machines here, but what are some of the advantages to a consumer from a vending machine?
I think the fact that your transaction can be more private, and I think most importantly, it empowers you. You know, there's convenience of time, there's convenience of place, especially in a country like India, it's not, you know, shops are not distributed that well.
Yeah.
So, you know, the fact that you're walking on a highway and you want something, or when you're in a car, you're traveling, you're going to a party, but you might spill something on your t-shirt, you don't know where to go at 11 p.m. in the night. So if you have vending machines, say on a petrol pump, you can quickly change your t-shirt or shirt and, you know, go on to the party very nicely.
Indeed. So convenience, privacy, vending machine. But the thought of buying labels and buying clothing on through a vending machine, tell us why you felt that fashion could fit into this format.
Well, fashion has never really been experimented with in this format. There are actually vending machines in a club in Europe which dispense flats for women who are tired of wearing heels. But to actually, you know, practically be in fashion, I've always been inspired by fashion as a concept. And the fact that you can do so much with a single concept and that nothing can go wrong. And as a retail student, you know, the fact that I was fascinated with vending machines, putting them together was always a dream.
Indeed. So you thought out of the box and into the vending machine. And interestingly, we think Arpan's category can fit in here, right?
Absolutely.
And tell us, in your research, you found some categories that would work well for vending machines. Tell us what those categories were.
We actually identified 4 key categories, which was men's cosmetics and grooming products, then artificial fashion jewelry, underwear, and youth apparels priced below ₹500.
So you did a survey, just so that we understand, you did a survey among how many consumers?
We had over 100 consumers, and then we put you know, the consumer responses and the industry responses in you know, a parallel frame to get that fine line of practicality. And we actually ended up finding out a lot more. We found out that modern vending machines have been developed with the almost interfaces like an iPad, and they accept credit cards, they accept debit cards, so your transactions are as safe as they would be online. And the machines can actually give you back change also if you have cash on you. So yeah, it's really amazing what you can do with them now.
Yeah. So if you're on a date and things are going well, you know, you're in your college, whatever, your dorm, you decide to walk out to Arpan's, you know, find Arpan's brand, and you find
Indie vending machine. Yeah.
You find it on your vending machine with the privacy.
Like you, I think that's very amazing.
Yes, well, I have to admit, I do use MAC makeup, but not by choice. When I'm on TV, they force it on you. So I thought I would at least buy a good brand. But I would not like to be seen mentioning it in public. But indeed, when men buy cosmetics, another reason, they may want to buy it. They don't want to be seen. Go out to a vending machine, buy it. Now, last point here. You also did some research on the mode of payment, right? And what were the consumer responses and what they were?
The consumers were actually more favored towards cash, as you know, that would be the basic Indian mentality. And that was a very complex item when we went into the research, that would actually consumers be comfortable paying on a vending machine. Most of them actually were very positive about it. And besides cash, they were also very comfortable with debit cards. So, you know, it's not credit, but so there's a limit of, you know, how much can go off from your card. So debit cards was very, very comfortable for the consumer.
So cash was, of course, you studied the younger consumers, right?
We studied, it was actually divided in quotas, so we covered even the 60-plus age group. So, yeah, it was a very practical concept.
Great. Utkarsh, a very fascinating study. Again, you can see his entire presentation if you just tick that box that's on your packets. Let me ask you one question unrelated to this. You've been an excellent student here at the Pearl Academy of Fashion. If you could isolate one course, one class that you felt was particularly valuable? Which one was it and why?
I would say retail research, primarily because it eliminates the emotions out of your judgment. I know it's important, but the fact that when you're doing business, there has to be some scientific ground to it. But obviously, emotions are important. But the fact that you have to eliminate and get into a more practical and more mathematical way of thinking is really what gets you success when you're at a a more complex and at a larger scale.
Indeed, in fashion institutes, visual merchandising, so forth, marketing is concerned. But here's a man who values the importance of research. Any one question from the audience for Utkarsh Ahuja? Vending machines. Utkarsh, excellent work, and a round
Thank
of
you so
applause
much.
for an excellent student, undergraduate in fashion retailing. Okay, move on to the next person. Just to warm you up very quickly, trivia, there was a major brand that launched saris, priced very high, between 3 to 7 lakhs recently. Which was that brand? Hermes. Okay, everyone knows this. From the brands to the models, which of these 4 models has an identical and as beautiful twin sister? Is it Christy Turlington? Is it Giselle Bundchen? Is it Bar Raffaelli? Or is it Naomi Campbell? Any guesses? Snehan Shah, what's your best guess? You don't know the models. Back there, students, any guess? Back there, okay. The right answer is Giselle Bundchen, who was also Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriend. She has a sister who's not in modeling. Let's move on to now our next, not contestant, but presenter. And before you come on, I just want to acknowledge one thing about Saurabh. Saurabh is actually from the fashion merchandising department. Saurabh is, he's going to do his presentation, maybe a little bit English, a little bit Hindi. But here's a man who went into an organization, Pratibha Syntex. And he was just brought in as a student intern. He came out of this internship with doing their supply forecasting, their marketing, their demand forecasting, their product mix, their space planning, and their marketing strategy. He met the CEO early and said, you know what, you can fly. So fly. And this is what he's done in 5 slides in 5 minutes. Saurabh, please take it away for us.
A very good evening to all present. The main objective of my project was to study the market in Indore for the development of Pratibha Factory outlet and found an opportunity for the new brand. As a result of this research, it led to insight for the better demand supply forecasting and marketing strategy and customer focused product mix and pricing. Let me introduce the company. Pratibha is vertically integrated unit starting from the cultivation of crop till the final dispatch of knitted garment and generating the turnover of $125 million. And their specialty is organic cotton and recycled fiber, for which they known worldwide. The product category include innerwear, casual wear, and high fashion. And this company is located 35 kilometers far from the Indore, and Pratibha Factory outlet is located in the main city in Indore and generating the turnover of rupees 1.5 crore annually and mainly used for the clearance of surplus, but they are also selling their domestic brand through this store. As I was the first internee to do this retail project for Pratibha Syntex Limited, so I found an opportunity and challenge to prove myself in the industry. And the main objective of this research was to analyze the competitor and understand the customer buying behavior and their perception about Pratibha Factory outlet, for come up with the best marketing strategy for the store. And for this, conducting this research, I took a sample size of 120 male and female customer in the store between the age of 18 to 70 and get questionnaire filled and also conducted some interview with customer. And the major finding of this research was the customer were coming mainly for the surplus product, and they were coming really very frequently within a month to know about the new collection of the store. But the problem was they were not getting a proper products within that time. So I recommend to the company to come up with the best and new collection within the month to please their customer. And 74% of respondent customers said that stores should be more organized. So I changed the layout of the store to change their perception of the store and services. When I asked to the customer about their perception and the problem about that domestic brand called Carbon Basics, most of the respondents said like there are so many problems, and the main problem was related to the functionality of the product. So I recommend to the company to fix some standard size measurement and maintain the quality of their domestic brand, which will stabilize that brand in indoor market. The main finding was like after conducting this research, conducting this research, it was very surprising for me that only through word of mouth, company was generating a turnover of 1.5. So I recommend to the company to start promoting the brand via SMS. So it will increase the footfall and conversion. After implementing of this recommendation, company got the highest sales record till the date. And I also find some communication gap between the company and the factory outlet. So I recommend them to organize some departmental meeting to, for the better flow of communication in the organization. The main problem I found, like maximum customers were coming just for the surplus product, not for their domestic brand. So I went to the depth of this problem, that why this is happening. So I found that domestic products were produced by outsourcers. Production was happening outsourcers for the domestic brand, whereas the production for surplus was being in-house produced. So I recommend to the company to start in-house production for the domestic brand as well, which will maintain the quality and it is cost effective also. And also recommend to enter into the organized retail, for which I introduced one business plan, and they are executing on them. They start executing on them. Or I recommend finally in the company, if they are focusing on the proper range planning and demand supply ratio, this will cover the merchandise planning and cost benefit analysis, best people to give services, and appropriate visual merchandise will cover the retail basics, and best service to the customer, discount and offer promotion, and influence customer perception by adding new range to the store will ensure the growth, and these all are the store profitability initiative. Finally, the brand will be stabilized. This was my main recommendation to the company to enter into the organized retail in Indore with their own brand name. Thank you.
Saurabh, excellent work. Congratulations. Just take a look at this, right? Just look at the slide. The student who's gone into an organization that's 1.5 crores in sales, suggested what they should do with their visual merchandise, at the customer service, looked at product, looked at demand, supply. Excellent feedback that he got from his client and from his professors. He's been the top student in his department. Any one question from the audience? Anyone has a question? Saurabh, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
We're going to ask Saurabh's in a second. We're going to ask his colleague from the same department in fashion merchandising to come up, male to female. Speaking of which, in a 2012 poll, who is considered the most powerful woman in the fashion world? This was actually done by Marie Claire magazine. Who is the most powerful woman in fashion, in the business of fashion, influencer in the world? Does the name Anna Wintour resonate from Vogue? She actually just topped the recent poll. Okay, let's bring out another woman in the fashion world, also who is on the intersection of business as well as fashion. Paridhi Agarwal, please join us. Paridhi, how are you feeling today?
Feeling absolutely fine.
Yeah. Tell us one thing about yourself before you start. What is your favorite film?
My favorite movie is Titanic.
Which one?
Titanic.
Titanic. Okay, and favorite Hindi one that you've seen recently?
The recent one is Vicky Donor.
Oh, Vicky Donor. Vicky Donor. How many people liked Vicky Donor? How many did not like? Okay. Paridhi is here to talk to us about her work at the same company, but unlike a counterpart who was steeped into the business side, how do you improve business operations at Pratibha Syntex, Paridhi took a look at how to develop the autumn-winter line for 2012-2013. Paridhi, tell us a little bit about the background, the context when you came into this project.
Very good evening to all present. My project is all about understanding and do the product development for an international brand, Esprit, for its fall-winter 2012-13 collection. The background of the company includes, firstly, the Pratibha Syntex Limited is a vertically integrated unit. It has its spinning, dyeing, finishing, manufacturing, and exports, all processes done under one roof. It has $125 million turnover. Its major clients include CNA, Woolworths, Zara, Esprit. And its major product lines are nightwear, high fashion garments, and activewear.
Okay. So you were brought into Pratibha Syntex to look at the collection that would work for its buyer, Esprit. Correct?
Yes.
And for that you did some research, right? Tell us where you went around the country to do your research.
For the research, I had been to various places of the country like Indore, Delhi, and Ludhiana, where I met with several retailers and consumers in person and analyzed the data and also took a lot of pictures. Took a lot of pictures of the styles of the latest fashion trends in vogue. And the research also focused studying various fashion forecasting sites like stylesite.com. And I then analyzed the brand Esprit's and its customers' tastes and sensibilities and focused niche market.
Okay. So here Paridhi has done a combination of some literature search, some fashion forecasting trends, and actually gone out and taken photographs of consumers to try and understand a very subjective area. How does this student come into a large organization and advise their client on what type of product, what type of line they should have? This is the way she did it. Please tell us about the actual line that you presented.
The actual line I presented includes a lot of styles like oversized tunic, double-layered terry twill tunic with a poly georgette lining, and sequin t-shirts, and oversized sweater top, like that.
Okay. And if you had to come up with the specific recommendations on colors, on please tell us what they were.
The major findings that I found were innovative shapes, lots of soft color palette, and simple styling, because according to Esprit's and its likings and preference and the customer's preferences, I preferred these styles and proposed a line accordingly.
Great. Last question is, when you proposed a line to your client, did they employ it? Did they use the line? What was their feedback?
They were very impressed with the line, especially I was the first internee who had been to various places of the country. That's why they were very impressed with the line, and also the product detailing that I had done, and the shapes, as you will have a look, it had all of them were different from one another, and all of them included in very innovative shapes.
Great. Do we have a question from the audience while I actually pull up one slide so you can actually see the shapes? Does anyone in the audience have a question for how Paridhi Agarwal came out to recommend an entire product line for a major company? This is actually the product
Yes,
line
sir.
that Paridhi had come out with.
Hi, Paridhi.
Hello, ma'am.
Did you find any difference between the aesthetic sensibilities of Indore consumers versus Ludhiana?
Yeah, definitely, ma'am. As these are two-tier cities, so they were Ludhiana had few
competitor brands of Esprit, but Indore had a little bit better that I found it, but somewhere almost the same.
In terms of silhouettes, colors, fabrics, the styling, were they very different?
There were not much difference there.
Thank you.
Okay, Paridhi, thank you very much. Paridhi, hold on. There is actually a special guest. We have Paridhi's dad here, right?
Yes.
Where are you, sir? Are you back there? Can we get a mic, please, for just 1 second to Paridhi's dad? Thank you so much for joining us here and for being the force behind Paridhi's work over here. We have a trivia question for you, sir. So just from there, please tell us the one thing that you admire most about your daughter. Sir, up. आपके बेटी के बारे में एक चीज बताइए.
Paridhi Agrawal is very much honest and hard worker, and I like very much her for this.
Her honesty and hard work. Thank you, sir, once again for joining us at this event. Paridhi, congratulations on your project.
Thank you, Mihir.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, so that was Paridhi Agrawal, and we now move on to our next presenter, who is Laghima Goyal from the Department of the Postgraduate Department in Garment Manufacturing. Now, we've seen a lot of glam presentations. This is a very hardcore presentation on how a process can be improved in manufacturing. Laghima will talk to us today on the benefits of having work aids, folders and attachments in manufacturing, something that she found through extensive research. Laghima, very quickly, just to ease you before you start, right? Tell us, if you were a fruit, which fruit would you be and why?
Mango. I love it the most. Mango because I love it the most.
Okay, you'd be a mango. Thank you. Thank you, Laghima. Please, with your presentation.
Okay, well, to start with, hello everybody. Myself, Laghima Goyal. I'm from Garment Manufacturing. In Indian apparel industry, productivity can be increased by clubbing 2 or more operations together using attachments and folders. And this could be seen, as my topic suggests, effects of work aids and attachments in manufacturing organization. There's only a need for manufacturer to think, as there is always a better way to do things. Indian apparel industry has been a bread earner for more than 3.3 million families in India. So to cater to that, it's time to reinvent the entire apparel industry. And this can be done by increasing productivity, which can further be done by investing in HR. HR is basically, training is not a cost, it's an investment. And manufacturers should need to understand this. And secondly, investment in innovation, that is attachments and folders. As said, productivity is now the name of the game. Either technology upgrade or perish. Very well said. Apparel making is a manufacturing activity, so without the use of attachments and folders, there is not much headway in productivity. I would like to tell something about attachments and folders. Attachments are the apparatus fitted on to the sewing machines. They give another set of fingers to the operators and helps the operator to perform a specific function at a faster speed. Employees are always an escalating cost factor for the companies, whereas attachments are one-time investment. This can be proved by the example I taken for the particular style. There are 2 operations in the old method, that is without the use of attachments and folders. First operation was to attach the lace to the front panel and the next was to overlock. Whereas with the help of an attachment and folder, we got clubbed 2 operations into a single, so the lace could be attached to the front panel along with the overlock machine, and the time taken was just 29 seconds. So the improvement led to around 97%, and moreover the interesting thing is, on the order quantity of around 14,100 pieces, we could easily save 8,460 rupees. Like as seen with the image, the first operation was to attach the lace to the front panel. Then the next image goes with the overlock to the front panel. Whereas in the new process, that is with the attachments and folders, both the operations could be done with a single operator, and that too with the help of the tape folder. Yes, think beyond the factor-driven industry. It leads to the motto of the manufacturers before 2005 and 2012 onwards. Before 2005, the motto of manufacturers for them expansion implied only and only adding new machines to the organization. Whereas after 2012, that is 2012 onwards, it has become an innovation-driven industry. Adding specialized attachments to the machines lead to greater quality and productivity, and an organization can achieve larger goals. As said, a good manufacturer is never satisfied with the present achievements, so there is always a scope for further study. Productivity can be enhanced by folders and attachments, but it is not only the productivity. We can enhance finishing and cutting too. Like as seen with the image, the operation was to put crickle onto the long skirt. The two operators got indulged in this operation. Whereas with the help of this work aid, we attached the work aid and the skirt to the table, and then a single operator could easily do this operation. So to conclude with, I would like to say that the competitiveness of an industry is often linked to its productivity. So to retain the competitiveness, management should know the importance of attachments and folders. Thank you.
Laghima, very good. Short and sweet.
Thank you, Mihir.
Yes, the importance of work aids in productivity. You studied this from an Indian example, but if you were just to compare it to international cases, are people using more work aids, even in Asia, in our neighboring countries, more than they are in India?
Yes, people are using, they are basically productivity for them means the use of work aids and attachments. But in India, manufacturers are more into like traditional style of working, so they're not putting much efforts to use attachments and folders.
Great. Any one question from the audience for Laghima and the use of work aids in manufacturing? If not, can we give her a wonderful round of applause for an excellent project?
Thank you, Mihir.
Thank you, Laghima. You did great. Okay, just before this, here's another trivia very quickly. Which famous designer is quoted as saying, "Fashion has become a joke. The designers have forgotten that there are women inside the dresses. Most women dress for men and